Hello, you absolute babes. I've got another little haul going on here. This is a bit of a mixture. It's a bunch of cheapies from Direct Cosmetics and then a couple of Lalique perfumes I got from Notino because Notino had an amazing deal on all of their Lalique perfumes. And there was one that I wanted to try for ages that was one of their specials where someone had bought it, didn't like it, and had sent it back, and so it was much cheaper than normal. So anyway, I'll start with the Direct Cosmetics, and I'll do the Lalique at the end in case you want to skip forward. So let's start with one that I couldn't remember if I'd had this or not, and I just wanted to try it because I have tried most of this range. So this is Adidas for women, and this is Natural Vitality. Now I have and love the watermelon perfume from this range called Get Ready. I think it's the, if I'm ever going to advise anyone to get one specific watermelon perfume, if you want the watermelon smell, then Get Ready is the one I go for. I think it's such a good perfume. I've had Fruity Rhythm and I bought that because I wanted to try it. I believe there's a tomato leaf in that, a note wise, and the same with this one, and I couldn't remember if I'd smelt this, so it was a bargain. I thought I'd try it, just this little one, a little 30 ml. And this one, funnily enough, is kind of a combination because I think this is watermelon and tomato leaf, so it's got a little bit from both of the other perfumes. So here's the little bottle, perfectly cute. This is okay. The thing with this is it smells very sort of late 90s, early 2000s to me, and it's quite shampooey, and it reminds me in a way that I don't love because I don't love the original of DKNY, the apple shaped one, whatever that's called. Yeah, there's just something about it that reminds me of that a little bit. I mean, it's like I don't hate this. I prefer it to DKNY because the DKNY really does smell very chemically to me in a way that this one doesn't really. But as you can probably see on screen already, the notes here are red apple, lychee, tomato and orange in the top, and then middle notes of lotus, watermelon and osmanthus, base notes musk and sandalwood. So I think you get a lot of lotus. This is a much greener, more cucumbery watermelon than you get in Get Ready. Get Ready is a sweeter, slightly more candied, juicy watermelon. This is much crisper. I get the red apple here quite a lot, but I get a lot of lotus, and I think that's probably the thing that's giving me a little bit of a shampooey smell. Now, I think this is super pretty. It's not necessarily my favourite kind of profile, but at the same time, I do think it's nice, it's fresh, probably great for summer. And to be honest, Fruity Rhythm is also good for summer, but that one was just incredibly like shampooey for me and a little bit too sweet with it. Or Be Delicious is what I'm trying to say. So I think, yeah, Be Delicious from DKNY. I think that Natural Vitality has a little bit of a crossover with that perfume. I'm just having a look for other comparisons to see what else there is, but I don't know any of these other ones. There's a few Be Delicious. So it's in that kind of profile, but it's much more affordable. I think it's less chemically smelling. I find all of the DKNY perfumes to really smell a little bit poisonous. So I think this is a better option. And yeah, I think it's kind of cute. Definitely worth a try if you like that kind of profile. So yeah, that's Natural Vitality from Adidas. Next up is this big monster, April Violets from Yardley, and this is a massive 125 ml bottle because it's a tester. So I mean, it was probably like £3 or something. And I love violets, so I've wanted to smell this for ages. But I have to say, I am very disappointed with this perfume. Now I have a few Yardleys that I really like, but Yardley Lavender is by far my favourite, and I really was hoping that this would be very violety, but somehow it sort of isn't. This is such a strange perfume. I find it very headache inducing. It's very strange to me. I don't entirely understand what's going on here. I'm going to look at the notes though. Let's see. So violet leaf citruses in the top. Middle notes are orris, mimosa, rose, white peach. Base notes, powdery notes, sandalwood and vanilla. I find this really instantly cloying and headachy, and I feel I'm getting more of the powdery and orris and rose than I am the violet leaf. Like, I mean, this may have a bit of a violety feel, but it's not how I think of violets when it comes to perfume. Like, I'm looking for the violet here. Even though it's voted as being the top note, I don't get violets from this. I find it harsh and sharp and not good. And I don't normally have that reaction to Yardley perfumes. So for some reason, there's something in this that just doesn't do it for me. It's been compared to the Balenciaga Paris perfume that a lot of people love. And I don't think, I mean, I think that's a bit of insult to the Balenciaga, because Smurfy Girl did send me a little sample of that, and that is so much better than this. This is very harsh. It actually smells cheap, and I don't think Yardley normally smells cheap. I normally like Yardley. So yeah, I just don't like this. I'm not really getting a violety feel. I'm just getting something a bit harsh, maybe a bit chemically. It's kind of crisp. I just don't know. I feel like there's lots of people who like it, but I really don't. Someone here has said scratchy. And I think that's correct. It's scratchy, and there's something strange about it that I'm not really enjoying. So anyway, yeah, that was a real bust. So that one will be given away. That's definitely not for me, and I don't like it enough to even use it around the house. You know, that's how little I like this. So yeah, April Violets, not so much. Yardley, thank you. Next up, very random one, but it was about £6, so I thought I'd give it a go. Good Kind Pure Vanilla Ginger Eau de Toilette. So it's got all of this stuff down the bottom about it being like, I think that's vegan and cruelty free and clean fragrance, but it's coty. So I don't know, interesting, but yeah, it's made by Coty. But anyway, so it says on the back actually some information about it, but I just thought that sounded interesting. I really like Burberry Goddess, but particularly like Angham, which is the dupe of Burberry Goddess, which is the one that I ended up keeping, because I just thought it was great. So I thought vanilla and ginger, that's a good combination. Let's give it a smell. It's just this little tiny bottle. I think this is 30ml, yeah. So I was looking forward to trying this. The notes just say Casablanca, lily, vanilla and ginger, but I feel like there's something fruity in here as well. There's something tangy and fruity in here along with those. I don't think the ginger is explaining, but it's almost like maybe pear or something like that. The thing with this is when it starts to dry down, it weirdly reminds me of the general profile of Britney Spears Fantasy, but specifically the Pure Fantasy elixir that I have. Like, it really reminds me of that, much more so than it does of something like Burberry Goddess. It's quite a different, it's like a cupcakey vanilla to me, rather than like a nice Burberry Goddess style vanilla, like a kind of creamier vanilla. This is sort of lighter, brighter, it's fun, but I also think there is a tiny bit of that tarry aroma chemical in here, which is just always going to mean that this is unwearable to me, which is unfortunate because I do think it's kind of pretty. I don't need it because I have that Britney that has this kind of scent profile, but yeah, it almost smells, I would say this smells like lily, ginger, vanilla, like a custardy vanilla maybe, or like like maybe a cakey vanilla with like a juicy pear. That's what I'm getting, but then I'm also getting that slightly bitter feel from, it might just be a very bitter, maybe not like nice wood note, but I think it's more likely to be just a hint of that tarry aroma chemical because it does seem to hang around. But it's okay, like it's a perfectly cute perfume that I will just give to someone because I'm not going to wear it personally, but I think this is kind of cute, like, and especially for the money and a nice little bottle you can take around with you. I think it's kind of pretty, but yeah, it's not for me, but it's not a bad one. Next up, my loves, we have an absolute classic, a vintage perfume, although this is a modern formulation eau de toilette. So this is J. Riven's Worth. Now, I've already had a tiny little round bottle, which I think might have been a tiny mini eau de parfum. And it's actually a video that I never published. I have a few videos that I'm thinking I might need to download and re-edit and maybe like try and bring the volume up, because I recorded them before I had a microphone. And the little tiny bottle I had of this, the dabber, I have a video. And I said in that, it's very animalic and it smells like pee on me, but it's unfortunate because the very, very, very deep dry down is beautiful. So I thought I wanted to try this, which is, I think, the eau de toilette. It could even be a cologne, but I think it's an eau de toilette. It didn't come with a box or anything, so I think it's an eau de toilette. Yes. Yes, it's an eau de toilette. So this still is extremely animalic to me. It's got a very pissy scent, which I get with a lot of the older aldehydic floral perfumes. So if we look at the notes for this, I mean, as I said, it's a classic perfume, which is why there's so many notes. So we've got aldehyde, ylang ylang, jasmine, bergamot, orange blossom and lemon in the top. We've got narcissus, hyacinth, lilac, orris root, ylang ylang, cloves and rose in the mid. And then oak moss, violet, incense, sandalwood, musk, vetiver, tonka bean and amber in the base. Firstly, I mean, oak moss is always a note that I do not particularly enjoy, and I'm getting quite a lot of it here, and I can sense that. But I'm getting a lot of the hyacinth in this version, and I think it's really pretty. I'm getting a lot of aldehydes that are really pretty. It's just a little bit too funky for me personally, but I also appreciate how this smells. There is something about it that I find really kind of comforting in a weird way. Yeah, it's definitely a beautiful scent, this, like there's no denying. It's not one that I would necessarily wear myself, just because those animalics are very pungent on me, but it is a beautiful scent, and I can see why they still make this one. Like it's definitely classic. The top comparison is Bluegrass from Elizabeth Arden. I have exactly the same problem with that. I could smell that it was beautiful, but the animalics on me were out of control, so it just basically smelled like urine. A very flowery urine. A bit sweet, a bit powdery. It's also compared to Le Mont, but I really like Le Mont, and I don't have the same reaction. I don't get the same animalic quality from Le Mont. But that is that kind of Chanel No. 5 vibe. And I can see why this is compared to that general genre, but I don't think it actually smells like Chanel No. 5. But it smells like other perfumes that were sort of that same style, you know. But yeah, so that's Worth. That's the original one. Then I also got Miss Worth. So this is noticeably quite different, although it's definitely still got that vintage kind of floral scent about it, and it's still an aldehydic perfume, but it does smell quite different. So just as many notes, so I mean, wow. This has got top notes of aldehyde, peach, blackcurrant, lily of the valley, ylang ylang, bergamot, pineapple, rhubarb and anise. Middle notes of clove, orchid, rose, cypress, violet, caraway, carnation, jasmine, tuberose, cinnamon and African orange blossom. Base notes: benzoin, oak moss, musk, amber, Virginia cedar, raspberry, vetiver, vanilla, tonka bean and sandalwood. I mean, there's a lot going on here, isn't there? If I look at the votes, benzoin at the top, followed by oak moss. Now again, probably part of the reason why this is a struggle for me is because there's quite a lot of oak moss, although I'd say this modern formulation is probably more flowery, less oak mossy. I'm getting something a bit peachy for sure. I'm getting a different kind of powdery floral. The floral element definitely smells like different flowers to the original. I don't really know what I can put my finger on though in terms of what is the strongest floral here. I want to say that I'm getting, in this particular eau de toilette version, the modern one, tuberose. I'm sensing a slightly creamy tuberose here. So if I look at what this is compared to, that should be interesting, eh? Oh, there's a lot of perfumes here that I've never heard of, but Rive Gauche, I can kind of see it's that kind of vibe for sure. Amarige. Okay, yeah, I can see it's that kind of vibe. Not my favourite, to be honest. It's not really. I think in terms of like the kind of perfumes that I actually like to smell, I prefer the vibe and the profile of the original, but definitely Miss Worth smells more modern. And I can see why it's compared to something like Amarige. It's definitely in that neck of the woods. So yeah, really interesting again to smell these, especially because they, even though they're modern formulations, they are kind of proper vintage scents. So I don't love them, but they were super fun to try. I'm really glad that I did. So let's move on to the Laliques now. So here we have this rather large bottle, Reve d'Infini from Lalique. Um, this is the one that was the special sales, and that's why it's so big. Because I try not to buy these 100 ml bottles if I have a choice anymore. But this was the one that was on special. And as all with Laliques, you know, the bottle is fantastic. Look at this bottle. Oof. Gorgeous. And it's got rose gold detailing, rose gold text, just up my alley. My favourite. Matches my wedding ring. So this, though, is a terrible disappointment to me. I was interested in this because it's been compared to so many perfumes that I really like. So let's see. And also perfumes that, you know, people who like this, loads of things that I like. So Cerruti 1881, for example, and Cacharel's Noah, for example, Chanso Tondra. You know, there's a lot of things here that have been compared that I really like. So, let me spray this out and then we can talk about it, because I'm disappointed. Very disappointed. So, Reve d'Infini has lychee, white rose and bergamot in the top. The mid notes are freesia, peach, rose, jasmine and cedar, and the base notes are musk, vanilla and sandalwood. Now, when I first spray this out, God, it's screechy. It's so screechy. It's wild how screechy this is. Like, really headache in a bottle level of screech. I find that with a lot of lychee and rose notes. So I don't know if there's just a particular company that makes a very specific aroma chemical, like a lychee aroma chemical that just is pure screech to me. And then if you combine that with a rose that I already find a bit screechy, it's a bit of a nightmare. But there is something under this that I can see why it's got that kind of Noah, Oxygen, Cerruti and 8081. It's got that kind of creamy musk sitting in the base here. So I think if you don't find the other notes here as screechy as I do, then I can see why people would enjoy this. But on top of all that, the more it dried down, the more it started to smell a bit tarry and weird to me. Like, so there's just a lot of stuff in here in terms of the aroma chemicals that have been used to make this particular scent that are just not for me. I find this too sharp, too screechy. There is a definite sweetness underneath all of that, but this is kind of eye-piercingly, painfully screechy to me. Yeah, and it doesn't improve. The sweetness underneath, unfortunately, can't get rid of the general aroma that's going on here. So yeah, this is one that I will return because it's not one I could ever wear. I love the bottle. It's absolutely massive though, like it's really heavy too. But yeah, sadly Reve d'Infini is not a Lalique for me. But let's talk about one that turned out a bit better. Next up, we have Soleil Vibrant from Lalique. Now, if you've been with me for a long time, there's a possibility you'll have seen me absolutely tearing the original Soleil to shreds because I thought it smelt disgusting. In hindsight, I think there's something about a certain type of coffee note because I literally tested something quite recently that has a coffee note in it. I think it was Gucci Guilty, one of the new Gucci Guilties. And it smelt very similar to me in that it smelt like burnt, bitter, like disgusting coffee grounds mixed with something that was almost like a very cheap whiskey. And that's what I was getting from the original Soleil. So I really don't like the original. I do, however, love the bottle. And I wanted to smell this one because it looked like it was going to be different enough for me to take a chance. And this was, again, I think this was maybe about £15 in the sale. So, I mean, this bottle, oh my God, these bottles are so beautiful. I think the original bottle might still be my favourite version, but I do really absolutely adore the ombre on this too. Oh my goodness, look at this little baby. Isn't it just the cutest thing you have ever seen? It's got this absolutely delightful ombre colour. It's just fabulous. I'm looking at it in the screen. I'm like, oh, maybe this one is even nicer than the original. It's got this cool little thing on it, which I haven't taken the plastic out yet because I was like, oh, I'm going to have to test it on my skin first, which I have. But I will, it doesn't want to stay now in the right position. I will be keeping this one, so let's talk about it. I'm going to spray it out and put the notes up. This is a strange little perfume, and it did take me a while to work out what this was reminding me of, what it was making me think of, because I do think this smells quite unique. It's interesting. I think it probably has some elements of the original, but it's kind of moved in quite a different direction because it doesn't have the same, I think it's like almond and coffee and notes like that. So this has notes of clementine, pear, ginger, bergamot in the top, orange blossom, jasmine, sambac and saffron in the mid, and then bourbon, vanilla, dreamwood and cedar in the base. Dreamwood was the bit that I was scared of because I was thinking that might smell very chemically to me, but actually it's fine. I get a lot of clementine. I'm getting a general floral smell here. I'm definitely getting the ginger, and as it dries down, I definitely get that bourbon vanilla, and it is a very nice vanilla. I would almost say this is like a summery vanilla. But I kept smelling it and being like, kind of reminds me of something, and I couldn't think what it was. Okay, I took the little label off so we could... it doesn't want to stay there, so it's very annoying. I'm trying to stay still. But, so... I still can't put my finger on one of the things that this reminds me of because there's something very tangy about this. Unusual and tangy that's giving me vibes of something else, but I can't think what it is. But overall, one of the things that this reminds me of is Nivea Sun perfume. Now, I ended up having to get rid of that just because it was too suntan lotiony for me, whereas what I like about this is you get that general kind of suntan lotion or Nivea sun specific suntan lotion sort of scent, the profile, without the texture of a suntan lotion, which is what I find difficult to wear. So it's like a much tangier version of that kind of scent, but it smells more like a perfume and less like a body lotion. And I was really happy about that because I really love the smell of Nivea Sun, but I don't really like wearing perfumes that make me feel like I've put body lotion on. There's something about the sort of texture smell of that it just I find a bit icky. But this is kind of that with a different vibe. Now, I'm really trying to think what that tanginess is reminding me. Oh, Spicy Delight from the La Belle Ricci range. That's what that's making me think of in the top. It's the ginger and the fruit that's smelling like that because I'm getting a lot of that clementine. So if I look at the votes, yeah, bourbon, vanilla, clementine and pear are at the top. Ginger's kind of midway, but I'm getting a lot of spice here. Yeah, it's like Nivea Sun without the lotion meets Spicy Delight from La Belle Ricci by Nina Ricci. So I'm very happy with this because I think this is super interesting and cute, and I also love this bottle. And I like the fact that the more it dries down, the more it feels almost like a vanilla perfume. Like if I was doing a summer vanilla perfume video, I think I could get away with putting this one in there. So yeah. Out of all of these things, I think this is the one that I'm definitely keeping hold of. So, Soleil Vibrant from Lalique. Absolutely gorgeous, fantastic bottle, cutest thing you'll ever see. And that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Please let me know what you think of these. You just hear it clinking away. And yeah, I'll see you soon with another haul, I'm sure. Thanks for watching. Oh, glorious. Glorious. Bye, guys.